Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date stories in the global financial world.
The German government greeted details of a new EU coronavirus recovery fund proposal worth 750 billion euros. The German government deputy spokeswoman Ulrike Demmer said at a regular government conference that the European Commission needs to approve the proposal, which includes elements of an earlier Franco-German plan. Earlier, the European Union's executive unveiled the 750 billion euro plan to prop up economies hammered by the pandemic, hoping to end months of squabbling over how to fund a recovery that has exposed fault lines across the 27-nation bloc. Under the proposal, which could still be blocked by more frugal northern nations, the European Commission would borrow the funds from the market and disperse two-thirds in grants and the rest in loans to cushion the unprecedented slump expected this year due to lockdowns. Much of the money will go to Italy and Spain, the EU nations worst affected by the pandemic. The measures have so far been controversial because they entail transfers of wealth across the 27-nation bloc, and views differ widely on how that should happen.
Chinese Premier Li Keqiang pledged that China will further expand opening up and continue to adhere to win-win cooperation in developing relations with other countries. Li made the pledge when meeting the press at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing after the conclusion of the third session of the 13th National People's Congress. Li, who took questions from Chinese and foreign reporters via video link as Beijing continues to observe epidemic prevention and control measures against COVID-19 pandemic, said that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge impact on the world and resulted in a significant decline in exchanges and cooperation between countries. He said the world economy will continue to decline if the pandemic continues, which is quite dangerous, as hence global anti-pandemic efforts will be hugely jeopardized. Li went on to say that against such a backdrop, it is necessary for countries to ensure stability of the industrial and supply chains, further open their markets and promote investments, as only through these measures can people prevail the pandemic and minimize the loss. Li also reiterated the need for all countries to conduct cooperation on the basis of mutual trust and on an equal footing, calling on all countries to shoulder its due responsibility when facing up to difficulties and challenges.
LATAM Airlines Group, the continent's largest carrier, filed for U.S. bankruptcy protection on May the 26th, becoming the world's largest carrier so far to seek an emergency reorganization due to the pandemic. The filing highlights the financial weakness of Latin America's carriers following a similar bankruptcy earlier this month by the region's number 2 airline, Avianca Holdings. But unlike Avianca, which experienced management turmoil and losses, Chile's LATAM posted profits for the last 4 consecutive years, totaling more than $700 million. LATAM has also approved a dividend payment this year, in contrast to other carriers that have halted payouts. One of the world's largest airlines said it would continue to fly through its bankruptcy restructuring. LATAM shares sank 51% in Santiago, while ADRs remain suspended in U.S. trading. Latin American governments, many under severe budget constraints themselves, have been reluctant to bail out their key airlines, in contrast to the United States and Europe. Most recently, Germany bailed out Lufthansa for a 20% stake. Chile's economy minister, Lucas Palacios, said that he would not rule out a bailout, although he did not propose one. A separate statement, Chile's finance ministry said LATAM is a strategic company for Chile, and the government would consider how it could contribute to its restructuring. In Brazil, it has been negotiating a bailout of up to 2 billion reais, that's $367 million, that has yet to materialize. LATAM's Brazil unit is not part of the bankruptcy, and the company said it might file for bankruptcy there as well if negotiations fall through. Latham said it raised up to $900 million to support operations through its bankruptcy reorganization from major shareholders, including the Cueto family, which controls the airline, and Qatar Airways. In addition, Latham has $1.3 billion in cash on hand. Latham was born in 2012 through a merger from Chile's LAN and Brazil's TAM, spawning a carrier with large aircraft order books and a major exposure to Latin America's top economy as it went through its worst recession on record.
Nearly half of businesses in Britain, which have temporarily suspended their operations because of the coronavirus lockdown, are unsure when they will restart trading. British government is gradually relaxing its restrictions on much of the economy, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying that shops which he ordered to close in March can reopen next month. About 1 in 5 businesses in Britain went into hibernation because of the lockdown, and the Office for National Statistics survey found that 14% of them expected to resume businesses in the next 2 weeks. A further 10% were eyeing a reopening in 2 to 4 weeks' time, and 31% expected to restart in more than 4 weeks' time. 46% said they were unsure when they would resume trading. Sandwich and coffee shop chain Prêt à Manger said that it will reopen a further 204 shops across Britain for takeaway and delivery on June 1st. But department store chain John Lewis said that it might not reopen all its 50 stores. The ONS survey showed another sign of how the shutdown in Britain is slowly easing. It found 73% of people had remained at home or only left for work, exercise, essential shopping or medical needs between May 21st and May 24th, down from 81% a week earlier. People in England, but not in other parts of the United Kingdom, are now allowed to drive to the countryside or the beach, something banned under the first stage of the lockdown.
Businesses in Brazil say the economic pain brought by lockdowns imposed to halt the spread of the virus are biting their bottom line hard. All along the normally packed streets of Brazil's business capital of Sao Paulo, shops are shuttered and the customary bustling activity is ground to a halt. Sao Paulo shopkeeper Alberardo Xavier said the situation is critical, sales are practically zero, and added that if the economic gloom keeps up, he'll have to let go of half of his staff. Unfortunately for local businesses, the economic signposts are grim. Brazil experienced its most aggressive deflation for 26 years in May, according to a mid-month measure of consumer prices released on May the 26th, as the virus triggered a collapse in transport and related prices. The economy is expected to register its steepest annual downturn this year since records began in 1900. The latest consensus in the central bank's weekly focus survey of economists is for a 5.9% contraction.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said that the novel coronavirus could cost as many as 1 million jobs in the country, as many industries considered not essential remain shut. The Mexican economy was already in recession before the pandemic struck, and different investment banks have forecast contractions as large as 9% for this year, with only a gradual recovery next year. López Obrador said in a televised speech that his prediction is that with coronavirus, 1 million jobs will be lost. The job loss number matches the estimate by the country's Business Coordinating Council. López Obrador's government repeatedly said it had the outbreak under control, but since posted record numbers for new cases and deaths. Earlier, his government issued guidelines for restarting operations in car making, mining, and construction in Latin America's second largest economy, that is linked to the United States and Canada through a free trade agreement. In April, the Finance Ministry said in an annual economic report used to guide the budget that the economy could contract by as much as 3.9% this year, adding that the numbers incorporated a drastic impact from the coronavirus.
Chefs in Madrid staged a protest outside the Spanish parliament on May the 26th to demand aid and flexibility for their sector as the country looks to reactivate the economy with the spread of the virus declining. Throwing his chief mock smock on the floor as a sign of protest, chef at La Tasquita de Enfrente in the Spanish capital, Juanjo Lopez, said the help they need is in the sector because it's one of the most affected areas, as many of the conditions for reopening make it impossible because of occupancy limits. As the pandemic winds down, Spain's cabinet is due to approve a declaration of 10 days of mourning in memory of COVID-19 victims. Some flags are already at half-mast at Cibeles Square and at local and regional authority buildings in Madrid, as the capital's authority declared mourning in the region in late March. Earlier, Spain's health ministry reported 50 new deaths from the virus, making 9 straight days that the daily toll has been around 100.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical stories in the financial world. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.